3 Valentine's Day crafts, so easy and cheap, you won't believe it came from the dollar store. Let me show you.
All right, the first step for the first heart craft is we're gonna make a stencil out of this adhesive shelf liner and drawer liner. Now I picked some up from the dollar store in the kitchen section. And what I did was I cut it out to size of my canvas first. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it in half. And then I'm just gonna take a scissor and then I'm gonna cut a half a heart shape in the middle of this folded shelf liner. Now we're gonna save this part for a later craft. So the next step is we're just going to peel the backing off of this shelf liner. Carefully put that down. Now we're gonna have fun and we're gonna add some paint onto our heart design. So these are just normal craft paints I picked up from the dollar store. So I'm just gonna add really small, we don't need much because we're gonna be adding quite a few colors. So I'm gonna add just little blobs of this paint. And this fluid craft paint from the dollar store works beautifully for this method. So here you can choose any paint colors that call out to you. And what Valentine's craft wouldn't be complete without red, right? So we're gonna add a splash of red. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start at the top of that heart where that paint is, and we're gonna drag it down. And you're gonna see this beautiful, magical, sweeping, this is kind of reminiscent of Squeegee art. And this is the look I was going for. Instead of having to buy a squeegee, I'm like, we can do it with cardboard, right? And we're just gonna continue. So I'm gonna start at the top and then just pull it down, and this part is so satisfying. It's so satisfying to see those streaks come to life. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna finish it off like that. So I just want to quickly show you how to troubleshoot an issue I often run into when I'm doing this craft. So sometimes my squeegee lines are a little bit blurry and they're kind of like mucky. You can always relayer on top. So for example, here I want to add in a little bit more white, and I'm gonna squeegee it down. And you're gonna see, we can just relayer on top. All right, now we're gonna wait for this to dry, and then we're gonna peel off the stencil and you're gonna see that beautiful heart design. Okay, now the paint is dry, and now I'm gonna peel away the sticker to see the heart underneath. Now this step both excites me and it makes me a little bit nervous because I'm like, did any of that paint bleed through? So let's see what happens. So I do have some of that bleed through, which I'm actually glad it happened because A, I wanna show you that YouTube art often has glitches in it behind the scenes, and B, I wanna show you that you can fix most things with acrylic paint. So here, I'm just gonna grab some white paint and my paintbrush. So you're just gonna paint along the edges. That's the way to fix it if you have any of those bleed throughs. And you can also customize this heart too. So if you want to give this to someone, for example, for Valentine's Day, what a sweet gift, you can add the initials right in with maybe a Sharpie marker or a paint marker. There we go. All right, for the next craft, I've gone ahead and prepared the canvas like I did in the first one. This one, we're just gonna pour it inside of that heart. We're gonna have some fun and a few seconds. So I'm just gonna put a whole bunch of colors on. Whichever colors call out to you, just go with that flow. I'm gonna drizzle. So I'm gonna do different things here. Let's go with some bright neon pink. I don't know what it does to a painting, but it does something magical. And then, of course, we have to add gold. Gold to everything, right? Add a little bit of sparkle into our heart is never a bad idea. And these crafts are so much fun. It just shows you you don't need to spend a lot of money or get super complicated with crafts. You can do it on a budget and make it really simply. Okay, now that we have all of our paint on our canvas, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab some saran wrap and I'm gonna cut it to the size of the canvas. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna place it down right on top of that heart because we don't want our hands to get messy. Actually we do, but this is a part of the technique, so let's go with that flow. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our fingers and we're just gonna move that paint. And this is why this activity in particular, kids love it because it gives them that sensory feeling. To feel that paint through that saran wrap move is like super cool. It's very, very satisfying. And I'm gonna move the paint so it goes right up on that edge to make sure we have a nice clean edge when we lift it off in the last step. It feels cold almost. It feels like I have paint on my hands right now, but when I lift off, there's nothing there. That's so cool. I think I want to stay here for a few more minutes and just enjoy this step. And then we'll come back in the later step and I'll show you how to pull this off nicely. All right, so once you've fully enjoyed that sensory vibe, now we're gonna lift off our saran wrap. So the best way to do this is we want to lift away from us and try to lift at a 90-degree angle from the canvas. So I'm just gonna peel it away like that. And you're gonna see that it creates a really nice marbled effect. It's a really thick layer of paint, so it might take a little bit longer to dry than the other crafts. What you can do also is use a hair dryer to speed up the drying time. All right, so I'm finished drawing my piece, but I just want to show you a really neat thing that happened that I've never actually experienced before. So with this hair dryer, you get a really cool movement with the colors that are like melding together. So you can see it creates like almost like a wave. So it was a really fun technique and it gave a really, really cool effect. So I'm really happy with it. Okay, now we're just gonna take off the sticker to see what we have underneath. And some of this paint is a little bit tricky. It kind of dried to the shelf liner, so I'm just gonna cut it a bit. So now I just want to talk about these bleed through lines. So I got quite a bit of them, but that is okay. You're just gonna take a thin brush and some white paint, and we're just going to block off all those places where it bled through. And then at the end of this video, I'm gonna show you how you can put all these 3 pieces together for a really nice piece of decor for Valentine's Day. All right, for the next heart craft, this is my absolute favorite one, and we're gonna be using some Q-tips and also that cutout we made in the first craft. So basically I made it a wee bit smaller, but what we're gonna do is we're going to peel it off and we're gonna stick it right in the middle of our canvas. So the next step, as promised, is using Q-tips. So I'm just gonna grab a couple of Q-tips here, and I'm going to be using the same dollar store paints. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to pick up a Q-tip and I'm going to dip it in that red paint first, and I'm just going to have fun here and dot on that red. And this technique is actually called pointillism, and it's an art technique that was invented, I think, in the 1800s. A lot of famous artists used it, but we can reinvent it in our own way using simple Q-tips. And then as I move my way out, I'm gonna make them a little bit more sparingly like that, so they're not so clustered. This is why this craft is my most favorite one, because it's so relaxing and you cannot go wrong. You can literally put your brain on autopilot and just dot away. Okay, so I'm happy with the red. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna flip over my Q-tip and I'm going to dip it in some of this pink paint, this bright pink paint. And you could wait for the red to dry, but I'm just gonna go right ahead. I don't mind the paint kind of mixing a bit. And I'm gonna be mindful here to use that same technique where I'm focusing most of my dots towards the stencil and less as we go work our way outwards. And it's gonna give kind of like a starburst effect when we lift off that sticker. It's gonna be really beautiful. Now I'm going to have another Q-tip here and I'm gonna dip it in, this is kind of like a mauvey purple. All right, so now I'm happy with the amounts I've added so far. Now I like to add a little bit of gold because it really shines beautifully, and I love gold. I just love adding a little bit of sparkle to my art and creations. It adds a little bit more fun to it. There we go. So I'm happy with that. I think I'm going to wait for it to dry and see how it looks, and then I might relayer on top. All right, so the layer's dry, and what I wanna do is I wanna layer a little bit more of that bright red. I find I covered it a little bit too much with that pink, purple, and gold, and I wanna bring some more red into that. And this also shows you that you can fix anything with acrylic paints. Just wait for it to dry and then layer on top and you're golden. All right, once you're happy with all the dots you've added and your painting is dry to the touch, what I like to do as a final little trick or hack to just really bring it all to life is to grab a single Q-tip and some white paint. And then I'm gonna grab some on my Q-tip, and starting from the outside in, we're gonna be adding or layering some white dots sparingly. So we don't add too much because we don't wanna cover all of those beautiful colors below. All right, for the final reveal, we're just gonna peel away that sticker, to reveal that beautiful heart shape below. And it looks really festive. And I love that pop of gold.
So this is proof you don't need a ton of money to create some really cute decor. I have 3 of them hanging side by side in my upstairs hallway, and then I also use them here and there for some cute Valentine's vignettes. And if you want a gorgeous painting project that's just as simple, head on over to my cherry blossom tutorial right over here. It's beginner friendly and just as fun. And as always, sending you lots of peace, love, and color your way.